Hey team, what's up? Pastor Kerry here. It's April, so you know we got a new virtue word. Our virtue word for the month of April is peace. Now let's all arrive on time, on fire, and have a great month. I've attached the video, as usual, with an overview. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. God bless you, and let's have a peaceful April. Thank you.
Let's play an opposites game. What's the opposite of classical music? Heavy metal. What's the opposite of Fox News? MSNBC. What's the opposite of Jacob? Esau. Now, those were pretty easy, but how about this one? What's the opposite of anger? See, that's a hard one. Maybe it's love, or forgiveness, or what about peace? Think about this for a second. Do you really want your children to grow up to be angry? I'm talking about out of control, self-centered, short-fused, I'm gonna hurt somebody if I don't get my way kind of an anger. Of course not. I mean, after all, you don't have to look very hard in communities to see the damage that kind of anger can do. It's the reason a lady used pepper spray at a Walmart to ward off a crowd of mothers Christmas shopping. It's the reason people lose it sitting in traffic, or the reason the issue of bullying is escalating in schools everywhere. The truth is, there are a lot of people who are walking around angry. Somehow they grew up and missed a simple principle that is critical to life. Have you ever seen the movie Simon Birch? It's a great movie about two friends and their journey to figure out what is really important in life. The movie came from a book called A Prayer for Owen Meany. The book is about two friends who grew up together, John, the narrator of the book, and his friend Owen. And one of the most significant moments in the story happens when Owen hits a foul ball that strikes John's mother in the head and kills her. The accident created a rift between the two friends until one day when John is at his house and he hears some commotion outside. He looks out his window to see Owen's father pulling into the driveway, but he's not ready to see Owen yet. He still has too much unresolved emotion. He's still hurting from his mother's death. But then from his bedroom window, he watches as Owen gets some stuff off the back of his dad's truck, puts it at his front door, gets back in the truck, and leaves. And so when John goes to open the door, he looks down immediately and recognizes what Owen had done. You see, Owen had taken all of his baseball cards, his most valued possession, and he had left them for John. It was Owen's way of making a peace offering. See, there was something intuitive in his nature that led him to realize he should give something to John to demonstrate his desire to fight for their relationship. Later, John's stepdad explained to him that the baseball cards were Owen's way of saying he wanted to make things right. Now, it was time for John to respond. But what could he do to prove to Owen that he wanted to resolve the tension? It just so happens that he had a stuffed armadillo. His stepdad had given it to him and he knew that Owen loved it. So John decided to give it to Owen. A stuffed armadillo became the symbol that their relationship was more important than any tragedy or disagreement or conflict. You know, it's interesting that peace almost always requires some type of sacrifice. I can almost guarantee that there will be a time in every relationship when you will have to give up something you care about to make peace. Peace will cost you something. See, we define peace for children as simply this: proving that you care more about others than winning the argument. Of course, I wish some adults I knew would apply that definition to their life. But peace, it's a complicated idea, isn't it? Peace is hard. It often means taking the first step towards reconciliation, and it usually involves giving away a right or a possession, or maybe just a little bit of your ego. I mean, what would happen if we taught kids to personally pursue peace? Maybe it could start by getting everyone to memorize something Paul said in the book of Romans. So let us do all we can to live in peace, and let us work hard to build each other up. Romans 14:19. Think about the significance of that phrase. Paul is challenging us to do all we can to live in peace. He stresses how important it is for us to do everything in our power to build a bridge, to fix what is broken between us and someone else. So here's a question we should start asking kids in our homes and churches. How hard should you work at fixing what is wrong between you and someone else? Now, let's talk about some stories that illustrate how and why we should do all we can to live in peace. We'll start with the best illustration of peace and think about everything God did to fix what was wrong between you and Him. You see, when God looked across humanity and saw the brokenness of our relationship with Him, He proved He cared about us by sending Jesus, His only Son, to die to build a bridge between us and God, to resolve the conflict that existed, to put us at peace with God. I believe it's true that you are never more like the character of God than when you are working to build a bridge in relationships with those whom God loves. So the issue of peace really comes down to this. If God was willing to give His Son so that we can have peace with Him, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to give? The question again is, how hard should you work at fixing what is wrong between you and someone else? This is something that Abraham's son Isaac understood firsthand. In Genesis 26, there's a story about Isaac moving to a region where he reclaimed the wells that had once belonged to his father. For years, no one had cared about the wells until they were reopened, and then everyone started fighting over them. Instead of fighting, Isaac decided to give away the wells in order to make peace. Isaac simply walked away from what was rightfully his. And because of his act, the people changed their opinion about Isaac and decided to trust him. Then, there's the story of Isaac's sons, Jacob and Esau. Jacob steals his brother Esau's inheritance and then runs away. Years later, Jacob decides to return, and he sends a peace offering ahead to make a statement to Esau. And this part of the story ends with a powerful reconciliation between two brothers who make their relationship more important than their stuff. In 1 Samuel 25, there is a story about King David being angry with a man who treated his soldiers wrong, and he's going back to get revenge. Until the man's wife Abigail intercepts him with gifts to make a peace offering and apologizes. Her initiative stops something that would have been horrible. Even though she was not responsible for the offense, she realized she could play a role in making peace. You see, each of these stories illustrates what it means to pursue peace. Sometimes you have to know when to walk away. Sometimes you have to be willing to give up something. And sometimes you have to get involved if you want to be a peacemaker. The point is that when you make peace, you make others understand they matter more than the argument, or that they matter more than things. So, let's help kids grow up and learn to do whatever they can do to fix what's wrong between them and someone else. Let's help them learn to make peace a priority in their life.